Again, welcome to Ask Doc Live. Invite a friend. For those of you who do not know how, if you go to participants, click on participants in the Zoom menu at the bottom of the list of participants, then you will see a little button that says invite. It'll allow you to copy the invite, and then you can paste it and share it with a friend. So we encourage you to do that. We've got some great stuff going on today. It's going to be a little different, but I think it's a little different that you are absolutely going to love. So, wait while more people are getting connected here. We want to make sure that everybody is able to hear from the beginning, because, of course, if you're here with us, we will be getting to questions in the second part of the show. This morning we have a special for you. And if you would like to ask a question, make sure that you raise your hand. Again, go to that Zoom menu, find reactions, and then raise hand. Now, you also want to make sure that the chat is turned on so that you can see all of the valuable information that is being added by our co-hosts, Ruth Ellen Sanchez, Heather Bowen, John T. McCollier, Dr. Judy Reynolds, because they're going to be typing out information that Dr. Wallach is sharing, and also how you can get more information. But I want to remind you, if you were invited by somebody specific, whether it's through an email, a text message, a Facebook chat, make sure that you get, or a phone call, make sure that you get back with that person, because they cared enough to share this program with you so that you too can get empowering information that can then help you take your health into your own hands and create a different health journey. For me, it was a life-changing health journey in a very massive and positive way. So I know for many of my clients, they have experienced very similar, much of the same, even greater in some cases, but everybody is different. And it's giving us that 90 days of giving your body what it is starving for that really makes a difference. Now, I have to remind you that this program is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician. It is for informational uses only, and the FDA has not, what's the word? Anyways, the FDA, they haven't gone through and approved everything that we're saying today. But hey, there's a lot of things the FDA hasn't done or has done that we may not agree with, because we have found that there are better options. And how we have found that there are better options is through the science of epigenetics. Now, folks, there's a lot of things that are blamed on genetics. Well, guess what? What we put in our mouth, what we have in our environment, what we take away, put in, it just makes a huge difference on how our genes are expressed and how in life our body is going to react. And the reason why we know this is because we have one of the founding fathers of that science of epigenetics here with us to guide us through this journey of making better choices that create a better journey. Now, folks, welcome. Put your hands together and help me welcome Dr. Joel Wallach. Dr. Wallach, welcome to Ask Doc Live.
Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, and your whole team. Appreciate you as always. And today we're going to have a very exciting event. Let's see here.
And I do have to say, Doc,
Hmm?
I love your office.
Oh, well, thank you.
You've been hiding it from us. So we're glad to see you in better lighting and hope that you're comfortable there.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And of course, it's a little roomier, that's for sure. Okay. But at any rate, this event you're going to see was filmed 2010 with Pastor Creflo Dollar and myself in his facilities there, Creflo Dollar Ministries and the World Changers. And basically, he asked me to show some things that were unimpeachable evidence that shows we can do a better job of adding 25 to 50 healthy years to people's lives and getting closer to God's promise of 120 years. Okay. And so I think this is probably one of the best of these types of things that I've done. I've found all kinds of great support in various publications and front pages of newspaper articles in big cities all over the world, supporting what I'd been saying for years. All the doctors are poo-pooing it, and here it is in all this written and published fashion. So we're so excited to be able to share this. I cannot thank you enough for making this happen. Okay, back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Wallach. And it is going to be an honor because I have seen this program a couple times now, and I learn something new every single time. So I love how this was only 12 years ago, Dr. Wallach, and how spunky and full of life that you were then as well. Just gives us a glimpse of what is possible. Getting old does not have to be painful. It does not have to be miserable. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, well, having years, I'm 83, and most people don't think I'm 83 when they look at me. And of course, I had several health problems between the ages of 5 and 9, and 20 doctors couldn't figure it out. And they were ready to put me in some kind of institution experiment on me to figure out what it was I had. And I said, I'm eating the same thing my parents are. I'm eating the same thing that animals are, but they don't have the problem. And I said, no, wait a minute. Animals are getting something else. They're getting all these vitamins and minerals added to their food. And so the next morning early, that was Friday night, next morning early, before they sent me to this institution, I went to the barn, got all these vitamins and minerals we were giving the animals, and began to take them on Saturday and Sunday and Monday morning. And after 5 years and 20 doctors that couldn't fix me, I fixed myself in 3 days. And I knew when I was 9 years old, the doctors were missing it very badly. And so that's how all this started.
Well, and it's been a great journey for you, Dr. Wallach.
Yes. I mean, I've been blessed to meet so many wonderful people and to share this information with literally millions over the years. And I cannot thank you and your team enough for being angels in the good Lord's army. And it's one of those things where, remember, we were promised in the Old Testament 3,500 years ago, 120 years. And then 2,000 years ago, it was all reiterated. And we haven't heard anything directly from God in a group way for 2,000 years. So it's time we spoke up again and put out the message of God. And this is what this is all about.
Yes, it is. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share here and hope it all comes out perfect.
There we go.
And everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right. So everybody meet Pastor Creflo Dollar.
I thought, we're always having a healing conference. What would happen if we could get a hold of how to be healthy? And, the Bible says very clearly in Revelations that Jesus has the keys of death and the grave. And he has the keys, and he will only use those keys towards our favor. But now, we have to accept the responsibility for walking in health. That's got to be your responsibility. That's not your doctor's responsibility. That's your responsibility. And I just thought, that there are a lot of things people don't know. You've heard me say it often, you can't do better until you know better, amen? And You know, if you're talking about living 80, 90, 100 years, you're going to have to know some things about how to take care of your physical body. You know, recently I had the privilege of being a part of a seminar where they've been doing some work on trying to prevent the growth of cancer by eating certain foods. And there are 5 types of food that you can eat if you eat them often enough. That would really help you out. I mean, it's an amazing thing, and we'll cover it sometime throughout these next 2 days. But I want to make sure everybody have a pad, have a pen. You know, somebody said, well, I want me some revelation. Well, get some revelation of how to be healthy. Okay? Some people, they you know, so spiritual, and it's good to be spiritual, you know, but you got to learn how to live on the earth, and you got to learn how to exist. Our guest tonight, the first time, he just really blew my mind. I interviewed him when we were doing some taping for a talk show that I thought I was going to do nationally, and thank God he woke me up before I went out there and did that and hurt myself. But he began to reveal some things to me. And I had a medical doctor on the set, and I had he just dealt with medicine, and Dr. Joel Wallach goes so much more than that. And I mean, he put the guy on the spot, and the guy was real honest. He says, we know medicine, but we don't know too much about health. And ladies and gentlemen, I try to bring you the best. I try to bring you the best. Amen. Dr. Joel Wallach's work has resulted in the publication of more than 70 peer-reviewed and referred journal articles in the fields of nutrition and pharmaceutical research. He promotes worldwide health, beauty, and youthful energy. And for more than 40 years, it has been Dr. Wallach's mission to bring accurate and timely health information to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stand to your feet and welcome our speaker for the next couple of nights as he takes us on a journey to achieving the health that we want. Please welcome Dr. Joel Wallach as he comes at this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Pastor Dollar and Pastor Taffy. They're just so wonderful. Please have a seat. And really appreciate the opportunity to share with you tonight. And I was so glad to hear Pastor Dollar said that we ourselves have responsibility. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight and tomorrow. Tonight we're going to talk about basically the scorecard of what we've been doing and how well or how badly we've been doing it. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about 5 or 6 major diseases and how we can prevent them and how we can reverse them. I believe that the World Changers Church family can be the first church family in the world to be disease-free. Amen? Amen. Because you have a leader who has that belief. I think he's a personally chosen by God. I really do. But Pastor Dollar is just so wonderful. Amen? Amen? Okay. Okay. So we're going to get started, and if we could have the first slide. And basically what I'm going to share with you is so outrageous, I chose to have some references that you could recognize: Time Magazine, Newsweek Magazine, Forbes Magazine, big newspapers, because everything that I'm going to share with you has been published in these newspapers, and you're going to say, oh, come on, that can't be real. And so we could have those slides. I'd be grateful. There we go. Okay, let's start with this. You know, when Jesus came to Jerusalem, what a thing that was. That was like a hero's welcome for a carpenter, the Son of God, right? He didn't have permission from any government. He didn't have permission. This was the people who welcomed him. And so you don't have to have permission from a doctor. You don't have to have permission from any government to be healthful. You can take responsibility and do that yourself because God's given you permission. Actually, he gave you an instruction. He gave you an order. In the Old Testament, right in Genesis, he said, and man's years shall be 120, right? 120 years. If we fall short of that, we haven't followed his command. And God made us in his image, didn't he? It says so right in the Bible, so we got to believe it, right? It says so that God made us in His image, and God doesn't have diabetes and high blood pressure and arthritis and Alzheimer's disease and obesity and hemorrhoids. And so we have to, say, okay, we must be doing something wrong here, because if we're made in His image, then we got to do a little better here. And so if we go to the next slide, I'd be grateful. We're going to kind of whip through these. Well, this is just sort of a Time magazine, December of 2008, and it said, we're going to take the pulse of America here, and by golly, we're not doing very well, and our kids aren't going to do as well as we're doing. There's a real problem with our health. Even though we're spending more money than all the other 218 nations in the world put together, we're not doing very well. So let's go on. Let's go to the next slide. Whoop, we went a little fast there. There we go. And one of God's favorite people were kids. And so one of the things that Jesus did was work with kids all the time. He said, bring me the children, right? Didn't he? And that's where we're going to have to start, because people who are our age and older oftentimes have a belief system that believes whatever the medical system, whatever the pharmaceutical industry says, and that has led us into the problems we have. And as a result, we have to kind of begin to work with the kids and teach them about health. We have to teach the kids about health. So then when they're adults, be healthy. It's kind of late when somebody's dying of 18 diseases to say, okay, let's fix you with an herb. That's going to be a struggle, okay? And so we have to start with kids with lifestyle and diet and vitamins and minerals, and we'll talk about that in some detail. So let's go on to the next one, please. And, okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, here we go. In 1990, we ranked 17th. We ranked 17th in longevity. There were 16 other countries whose peoples live longer than us. So let's go on to the next one. In 2000, 10 years later, we ranked 24th. That's going the wrong direction, isn't it? Okay, let's go to the next one. In 2005, 5 years later, 15 years after 1990, we ranked 46th in longevity. My grandkids would say, Grandpa, our healthcare system sucks. Okay, it's not real good. You wouldn't tolerate that in any other industry. Remember, we're spending more money for healthcare than all the other 218 nations in the world put together, and in 15 years we dropped from 17th down to 46th. Why aren't we banging on the doors and saying, hey, we want our money back? We're not getting the bang for the buck here. We're not getting the service that we paid for. Let's go to the next one. Now, this one will make you cry. This was a full-page story in the USA Today back in February of 2007, 3.5 years ago, a little over 3.5 years ago. And the data that I'm going to share with you was put in that issue of USA Today. It came from the Centers for Disease Control right out of Atlanta here, this federal agency that tracks disease, who gets what disease, percentages of those who will die, and so on. And then they also got it from the Journal of the American Medical Association, the Journal of the Medical Association in America, the most prestigious medical journal in the world. And up in that upper left-hand corner, kind of the third little half paragraph down, it says, the medical system in America, medical doctors in America, each year have killed, injured, and infected 15 million of their customers in their workplace every year. They don't even get an OSHA ticket. Medical doctors each year kill, injure, and infect 15 million people in their workplace. They don't even get an OSHA ticket. Don't you think about it? Over the past 5 years, Toyota, with a little rubber mat under the gas pill, killed 60, about 12 a year for 5 years. And they're sending investigations. There's billion-dollar lawsuits against Toyota by people who just looked at us, Toyota, and got ill just looking at one, right? And so why is it that people get all hung up about 60 people being killed over a 5-year period by a rubber mat under the accelerator, which is partly the fault of the driver, right? Letting that gas pedal get stuck with a rubber mat. And here's one profession who kills, injures, and infects 15 million of their customers, aka patients, in their workplace every year, and they get a walk. Don't let them do that anymore. Get second opinions. Don't take their first advice to you. Get second and third opinion. That's fair, right? You have that option. You have that responsibility. Okay, let's go to the next one. About 35 years ago, when I started giving 300 free lectures a year, grannies and granddaddies would come up to me at the gates of the airport and say, well, They didn't know who I was. I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and they say, you want to see the albums of my grandkids, my photos of my grandkids? Well, today they say, you want to see my 27 prescription drugs? I said, well, don't you have grandkids you want to talk about? They said, well, you have 6 beautiful grandkids. Now, this one's for my thyroid, and this one's for my adrenal glands, and this one's for my heart, and this one's for my diabetes. They just go right into that. Next, please. Deaths by medication errors rising. This is from 2006. It says that 1.5 million people are killed and injured every year, right in America, from prescription drugs every year. 1.5 million. There's more people killed and injured by prescription drugs every year than there are street drugs. We need to take the war on drugs out of the street and put them in the doctor's office. Next. Forbes magazine, I thought this was really profound. This is back in 2004, I believe. And it says, pharma's new enemy, just clean living. Just live clean and you won't need to take any prescriptions. What a concept. You know, God's advice, Jesus' advice is still good. Just live clean, you won't need prescriptions. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? And I'll tell you what that means in just a minute. Next one, please. Now, the science of living longer is becoming important here because we have 80 million baby boomers who have come along. And it's to your advantage to make sure that every one of these baby boomers lives to be 120. You don't want them to be sick and in a nursing home because you're going to have to pay for it. Okay, so here's 80 million people who need to be healthy. You don't want them being lame and halt and have diabetes and get their legs cut off and go blind and get Alzheimer's disease when they're 50, 60 years of age because you're going to have to pay for it. And so we'll talk about that in detail tomorrow. But 80 million baby boomers are coming along, and we had better make sure that they're healthy. I'm sure that includes lots of you in this audience. There's probably lots of baby boomers. I'm looking at the ages in here. We can go to the next one, please. This is from the New England Centenarian Study. It's a Harvard Medical School. They did a great study, and every year they track how many 100-year-olds are in America. And right now they say we have 100-year-old in America per 10,000 of our population. Is that good or bad? We're going to find out if that's good or bad. We have 100-year-old per 10,000. That's according to Harvard Medical School. Next, please. And this is a fellow, this is a Greek legal immigrant from Greece. And in 1970, he was told by some medical doctors in Pennsylvania that he just had less than a year to live. He had his whole belly was full of cancer, and there was nothing they could do. But they wanted to try a new experimental drug for cancer. And he said, well, will this help me? And he said, no, we just want to see if it kills you or not. We need to know if it's safe. He said, well, I think I'll pass. And he goes back to Greece and he starts eating this seaweed that rolls up on the beach every morning and eating goat meat and goat butter like your granddaddies, my granddaddies used to do, and eat eggs and chickens like we're not supposed to do. And he turned 102 back in 2009, just 2009. He turned 102 and he's still laying brick and painting fences at 102. Hallelujah! Next, please. This old swamp rat here, George Francis, died at 112, illiterate. This is his daughter reading the newspaper to him. He survived 19 presidents. He lived through 19 presidents, none of whom lived to be 100. They were all lawyers, graduated from Harvard and Yale and maybe even University of Georgia Law School, all those presidents. None of them lived to be 100. They died of an average of like 75 to 80. And here's an illiterate swamp rat from the swamps, Louisiana. His mode of transportation was a John boat and a pole. No electricity, nothing out there, and he died at 112. And so when the newspapers and the media asked his daughter what was his secret, she said, well, he broke all the rules of healthy eating. He lived on a diet heavy in eggs and dairy and lard sandwiches. Now, if you grew up in the country like me, you know what a lard sandwich is. At the end of the month, you're real welcome. Okay, next. This gal here died at 124 back in 2003. And the interesting thing about it, her birth certificate said that she was born of African slaves. Her mom and daddy were slaves, and she died at 124. And it was proven by her birth certificate. Now you say, well, come on, a slave in El Salvador, what kind of birth certificate do they have? Well, the Jesuits in 1521 established a Catholic mission there, and they've been running birth certificates in all the old Spanish colonies since 1521. And they did that so they could tax people, so not so you could trace your genealogy. So you got to believe those are accurate, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. Now this one here, this gal, this is a birthday announcement. She turned 126, and she also was blessed by having birth certificates and baptismal records from the local Catholic church there in the little island of Dominica. And Elizabeth Israel, they said, well, what is your secret? Because she was still alive at 126. And she said, well, I grew up eating food that was fertilized without chemical fertilizer. It was grown without chemical fertilizer. Now, what do you think that her mother and her grandmother, as young women, and she as a young woman, used for fertilizer in their garden to feed their family? Well, they used wood ashes. If you lived out in the country, if you had a parent or a grandparent who lived out in the country and they had a wood stove, you always put the wood ashes in the garden. Well, wood ashes are not carbon. Wood ash are actually the minerals that are left when you burn away the carbon in the wood, and the okra and the sweet potatoes and the onions and the garlic and the corn, the tomatoes would all take up the minerals that these wood ashes contained in them. And then you would eat those plants and you get minerals in that fashion. So that's what she was talking about. Next, please. This fella here, Dunn Gifford was the guy who promoted the Mediterranean diet and olive oil and whole grains and that kind of stuff. You notice he died of a heart attack at age 71. Well, there's a clue. The average Italian lives to be 72, so olive oil and whole grains might not be the perfect diet. See, the Sardinians, next door to them, in that big island to the west of Italy, they live to be an average of 90, and they live on goat meat, goat milk, goat butter, and onions and stuff like that. They don't eat olive oil, and they laugh at the Italians. They live to be 90, the Italians live to be 72. I'm going to skip the olive oil. Okay, next. Let's look at billionaires. Your doctor will say, look, just don't take any vitamins and minerals because you can get everything you need from your foods. Raise your hand if you heard that or read that. You can just eat well, you get everything you need. Well, billionaires can afford to eat good, can't they? So you think if that's true, there should be a certain percentage of billionaires live to be 100. Well, according to Forbes magazine, when they did a survey in 2004, they said, we've looked and we've looked, we can't find a billionaire who's ever lived to be 100. The average lifespan of a billionaire is 78. And the average lifespan of a falling down red wine drunk in Atlanta is 75. So you don't gain much health-wise by being a billionaire. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now, there's never been a Nobel Prize winner ever lived to be 100. My favorite, Albert Einstein, who said one of my favorite things is insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And he died at 76 of something that a turkey wouldn't die from. He actually died of something that we got rid of in turkeys in 1947, ruptured aneurysms. He died of a ruptured aortic aneurysm, and it's caused by a simple deficiency of the mineral copper. Now, the first thing that you see on the outside when you have a copper deficiency is white, gray, and silver hair. And his doctor kind of missed that one. I see a lot of copper deficiency looking out here tonight. And then the next thing that happens is you get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in your body, and you begin to get wrinkles, and you look like you've been run over by a Hummer. Just like Albert Einstein. Now, if he were to go to a plastic surgeon, would that plastic surgeon give him Botox and a facelift, or would they give him copper? He'd give him Botox and a facelift, right? Now, the next thing that happens when you get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in your body, you get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in your blood vessels, you get spider veins and varicose veins and hemorrhoids, which are varicose veins in a funny place. And so whenever I look at Albert Einstein, I know that he had hemorrhoids. It's kind of funny. I can just picture that. And then you get a breakdown of the elastic fibers in your arteries, and you get aneurysms. And then you die. 250,000 Americans die every year from ruptured aneurysms. About 1 million who survive ruptured aneurysms are disabled as a result to one degree or another. And it's all simply just a copper deficiency. Why did we take care of turkeys in 1947? We're letting human beings suffer that unnecessarily. Let's go to the next one. This is a U.S. News and World Report, very respected magazine. This goes back to February of 2004. Who needs doctors? Your next doctor might not be a medical doctor, might not be an MD, and you may be better off. That's not me. People say, Wallach, why are you so rude? No, I'm just reading the front cover of U.S. News World Report. Because in 2004, they knew there was a grave problem. We're spending all this money, more money than all the 218 nations of the world put together, and we're moving the wrong direction. Let's go to the next one. The average lifespan of a medical doctor, according to their own research, which was published in 1999 in all medical journals, the average lifespan of the family practitioner and the primary care physician in America is 56. Why would you go to a group of people whose average lifespan is 56 to learn how to live to be 120? It doesn't compute with me. And they die from diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and stroke. Why would you go to a group of people whose average lifespan is 56 who die from all the things you don't want to get for advice on how to live a long, healthy life? Now, when you have an emergency, you fall off the roof, you get in a fire and you have 4th-degree burns and you have terrible fractures because of accidents and things, you need a doctor. You need to go to the emergency room. But when you have other diseases where a day or two doesn't matter what treatment you get, you might want to kind of look around a little bit, right? Okay, next. Now, everybody believes that exercise is good for you, right? I mean, everybody knows exercise. I mean, the government tells you this. Doctors tell you this. Universities tell you this. Remember, everybody tells you, ministers tell you exercise is good for you. But with the exception of 3 black gentlemen from the old Negro Baseball League days, there's never been a professional athlete ever lived to be 100. The average lifespan of professional athletes is 62. The average lifespan of a professional couch potato is 75. You gain 3 years in longevity, 13 years. You gain 13 years, say my math, 13 years in longevity by not exercising. And I said, yes, okay. Now, but see, there's a little bit of a funny thing here. Exercise without supplementation to replace what you sweat out is dangerous. But if you replace what you're sweating out, you're okay. Now, you have to appreciate that sweat is not just water. When people say, hydrate, drink plenty of water when you exercise. On hot days when you're sweating, drink plenty of water. That's only 2% of what you need to do. Because sweat is not water. Sweat is a soup that contains all the nutrients circulating in your blood. If you're just drinking water, oops, you're soon in the negative. Why do these $2 million a game professional athletes get Charlie horses and they get cartilage problems and tendon problems and ligament problems? They have personal trainers, they have dietitians and nutritionists, and they have team doctors. And yet they're a mess. And they exercise, and they exercise, and they exercise because they're sweating out all these nutrients. They're drinking water and sports drinks with 2 nutrients in it. Oops. Okay, next. Well, the Journal of the American Medical Association in 1977 immediately endorsed Jim Fixx's book, and it became an instant bestseller, that previous slide you saw. And so they had to do their due diligence there, and they said, because 5 years after he wrote that book, he died at age 52 of a heart attack while he was running. Bam! He just dropped dead. Now, he was training for the Olympics doing the marathon, and he just drops dead at 52. So the Journal of the American Medical Association did a study, and they said, oops, we chose wrong. Oh. Because when they investigate, they said, while running, a man's risk of heart attack death increases by 700%. While running, a man's risk of heart attack death increases by 700%. Now, that will only be true, and that's what was written there. That was in Runner's World magazine. Now, that will only be true if you don't supplement with all the things you're sweating out. If you're supplementing with all those things you can sweat out, you can exercise and be safe. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Next, let's stop there. That's Reggie Lewis, captain of the Boston Celtics. 28 years old, collapsed during a playoff game with the Charlotte Hornets back then. They're the what are they now? They're not the Hornets. Bobcats, yeah, thank you. And they, he collapsed, and he was diagnosed quite correctly with the disease called cardiomyopathy heart disease, which is unknowns to doctors. It's a simple deficiency of the trace mineral selenium. And so they gathered up the top 12 cardiologists in the whole world and said, look, we want you to replace Reggie's heart. We want you to give him a heart transplant so we can get him back out in the court. That was the goal. And so they got this dream team together, and 2 weeks while they were arguing who was going to be the chosen one, who was going to be the lead surgeon, who was going to be history, famous, he collapses and dies from a second cardiomyopathy heart attack. Okay, now we can go to the next one. A year and a half later, the captain of the dream team of cardiology, one Dr. W. Thomas Nessa, who taught cardiology at Harvard Medical School, ran the Boston Marathon every year. He was the captain of the dream team of cardiologists who was trying to save Reggie Lewis. Bam! He drops dead at age 48. From the same thing, cardiomyopathy heart attack. Now, if he were my cardiologist, I don't have a cardiologist, but if he were my cardiologist and he said that salt was bad and he died at 48 of a heart attack, I'd go around town, I'd collect every salt shaker. I'd be packing salt in my ears. I'd be giving myself salt enemas. I'd be just putting under my arms and holding, I'd be tracking salt everywhere, right? If he said eggs were bad, I'd be eating 25 eggs a day. If he said exercise was good, I would lay in bed and I wouldn't even blink. I wouldn't do nothing that that resembled motion. Okay, next please. Now with the information you're armed with now, this young woman here, Ronalda Pierce, got an academic and an athletic scholarship to Florida State University. She was 6'5", 19 years old. She could do the Air Jordan thing. She could do the air walk, and slam dunk a ball. The WNBA was already putting millions and millions of dollars of endorsement money into a fund for her and begging her not to go to college. She said, no, I'm going to get my degree. And halfway through her freshman year, a day after finishing a weekend game, she drops dead at age 19 of a ruptured aortic aneurysm, just like Albert Einstein. What did she die from? A copper deficiency. A copper deficiency. And she had team doctors and team nutritionists, and she had personal trainers, but she didn't have the raw materials that her body needed. Okay, next, please. Now, Theo Ratliff, he's one of the guys here from Atlanta, played for the Atlanta Hawks. His personal career was over 10 years ago when I first met him. He had bone-to-bone arthritis at 28 years old. He had bone-to-bone arthritis in both knees. He actually had cartilage popped off his hip, and he caught a ball during a game and fractured his wrist. To make a long story short, I rebuilt him 8 years ago, and he's made $140 million since his career was over. Just with vitamins and minerals, no joint replacements. Remember Bo Jackson? He chose poorly. He had double knee replacements, or double hip replacements, I guess it was. Now everybody says, Bo who? But see, Theo, this is his 16th year in the NBA. The longest running NBA player ever. And he is so old and decrepit at 38 years of age that the LA Lakers just drafted him. Okay, next please. Now, God tells us to live to be 120. And what my wife and I did 10 years ago was begin to track the top 20 longevity cultures on Earth, the top 20 longevity cultures on Earth. We looked at all the common threads, things that they all did. Now, number one, they had 100-year-old per 250 of their population. They had 100-year-old per 250. We have 100-year-old per 10,000. We're not doing very good. Now, the nice thing about these top 20 cultures who live the longest, these people are all third world cultures. They don't have doctors, they don't have private and government insurance, they don't have hospitals and clinics, they don't have pharmacies or pharmaceuticals, they have no drive-thrus for fried foods because they don't have roads. They don't do anything bad because nobody's going to go there to sell them anything bad. They're third world cultures. But what they do, like that one gal, Elizabeth Israel, who's 26 years old, putting those wood ashes in her garden, they don't have any electricity, so they're still putting, every one of those top 20 longevity cultures or third world cultures, no electricity, they're still putting wood ashes in their gardens. They're still putting minerals in their food. Now, how many have ever heard of Jesus? Raise your hand. Praise God. Everybody here has heard of Jesus. Praise God. Well, when he was hidden, when the angel came down and told Joseph, you better get him out of here. The king's killing everybody under 2 years of age. So to save him, you're going to have to take him to Egypt and hide him for 10 years, right? Until that king disappeared some way or another. And Jesus did all the things that little Hebrew boys did when he was a child. He had chores, right? And one of the things he had to do is take the wood ashes outside and put them in the garden. Next, please. Okay, these are the 90 essential nutrients. Oxygen is not optional. Water is not optional. These 90 essential nutrients are not optional. Not optional. We need 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 essential amino acids, 3 essential fatty acids. And if you don't have any one of those, you can get 10, 20, 30, 40 diseases from one of those being missing. Calcium deficiency alone will give you 147 different diseases. You will need 27 specialists. And all you have to do is supplement properly and all those problems go away. Well, why would I want to do that? I have to ask my doctor. I hear that so much, I just say, I have to go pray, otherwise I get so angry. Now, 2/3 of those 90 essential nutrients are minerals. 60 of the 90 are minerals, so you have to focus a little bit on them because plants cannot make them. Plants only need 3 to be healthy. Plants only need 3 minerals to be healthy. We need 60. Okay? Now, here comes the scary part. Nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur like veins, like chocolate and chocolate ripple ice cream. And what the minerals are in a plant will be reflected by where they're grown. If you take a kid from Somalia, where the average lifespan is 29, you take a kid from Costa Rica, where the average lifespan is 90, you take the Costa Rican kid, ship him to Somalia and feed him like a Somali kid, he's going to live to be 29. You take the Somalian kid and ship him to Costa Rica and feed him like a Costa Rican, he'll live to be 90. It has everything to do with what you eat. See, in animals, and I'm a veterinarian as well as a physician, in animals, we've leveled the playing field for animals. No matter where they live, they get these little alfalfa pellets with these 90 essential nutrients in them. We've eliminated 900 different diseases in animals with those little alfalfa pellets for diseases that still plague human beings. And so as a kid, I always wondered, well, why do we do that for animals? Nobody's doing it for people. So I started doing it for people 32 years ago, and lo and behold, thank you God, it works. It works. And so I've been doing this now for 32 years in human beings, and it works. Okay, next, please. Okay, these are the minerals that you need in blue. That's a periodic table. You can get that in any chemistry book. That's a periodic table. And the blue ones are the ones you need every day. And most medical doctors and nurses can't name 10 without reading the back of a cereal box. They get 30 minutes worth of nutrition in 14 years of pre-med, medical school, and residency and internship. It's not that they're bad, it's just they don't have the training. And so we have to be responsible here. We have to take in all 60 of those minerals every day, otherwise you get disease. Just like, how long could you go without oxygen? Try hold your breath for 3 hours, see how that works. It doesn't work very well. Try going without water for a week. That doesn't work very well either, especially if it's hot and humid, right? Okay, next please. Okay, next. Okay, what I'd like you to do is think about supplementing with what we call the mighty 90s, those 90 essential nutrients we all need. They are not optional. And then if you have a disease like diabetes, we have a program for diabetes. If you have high blood pressure, we have a program for high blood pressure. If you have arthritis, we have a program for arthritis. If you have lupus, we have a program for lupus, and so on. You just add that to the basic stuff. I know you all put oil in your car. How many of you put oil in your car? Make sure there's oil in your car. Well, of course. Now, why do you put oil in the car before the engine burns up? You put oil in the car to prevent the engine from burning up. You can take an engine 300,000 miles if you put oil in there appropriate for the model of the car or truck you're driving, and every 1,000 miles or every 3,000 miles, whatever they require, you change it, right? Why don't we do that for humans? Well, that's what I'm saying. You take those 90 essential nutrients, just like we give pet animals and laboratory animals and livestock, and you'll add 25 to 50 healthy years of your life just by supplementing with those mighty 90 all the time. You cannot get everything you need just by eating well. Just remember those billionaires. If that were true, there'd be a lot of billionaires lived to be 100. And according to Forbes magazine, there are 0. Okay, next please. I love this slide. This is really a good piece of research by Harvard Medical School. And what they did was look county by county in the continental United States, the longevity of people. They did the longevity of people county by county. The longest lived people in America are in the blue and the purple, in the Midwest and the upper plain states, and the shortest lived people in America are in the yellow, orange, and red. Look where Atlanta's at. The people in the Midwest and the upper plain states literally live 25 years longer than you all do. They live 25 years longer than you do. Not because God loves them any more than God loves you. He loves us all equally. We're told that in the Bible, and I believe that, right? And so I know you do too, otherwise you wouldn't be here tonight. And so what's the difference? Well, when they looked, they were trying to find which county had the best medical system associated with lifespan. They were going to make sure that every county had that medical system. What they found out, that every county had the same medical system. They had doctors who came from accredited medical schools. They had accredited hospitals. They had access to pharmaceuticals approved by the FDA. They had personal insurance, government insurance. Really, nobody was out without insurance. There's Medicare, Medicaid for people who can afford it, the people on Social Security, everybody had that. But what they found out was it came down to how people cooked. The people in the Midwest and the Upper Plains states cooked everything by roasting, stewing, and baking. Now, how do people cook in the old Confederate states, in the Old South? They fry everything. Now, there's rumors y'all fry water. I know you fry ice cream. Now, you think about that. If all you do is give up fried foods, or just eat it once a year for some unknown celebration, if you stop eating fried, I mean, you can go to KFC and eat, what is it, KRC or K, whatever it is, grilled, KGC. Sounds like the police from Russia, KGC. So you can go to those places. I mean, I live in McDonald's, but I don't eat any of the bad stuff. I don't eat French fries. I eat their burgers. I eat their Angus burgers with the mushrooms and the Swiss cheese. I don't eat the buns. I eat their steak, egg, and cheese breakfast. I don't eat the bagel. I do have their wild berry smoothie, which has all those antioxidants in there. I don't drink the sparkly soft drinks. You see, you can be in the world, but not of the world, right? Does that sound familiar? Oh, whoa! Okay, you take the good and leave the bad. Okay, next, please. Next. Okay, next. Okay. This is a place where we like to get minerals from. It's actually an ancient, I can't say seabed, this is actually underneath the seabed. These are plants. How many have heard of the Great Flood? Okay, well that white stuff above that brown stuff is a 25-foot thick layer of limestone, full of fossils of fish and seaweed and stuff like that. So you know it was an ancient seabed, but everything underneath it, that brown stuff looks like coffee grounds or ancient plants. It was a forest that got covered during the Great Flood. Plants. 77 minerals in those plants. Okay, next. Okay, the third longest lived people on Earth are the Yao people in China. And those are a couple of kids. There's a watercolor from 1,000 years ago. You don't see them eating fried chicken or fried potatoes or fried fish. You see them eating things that have antioxidants. And there's pomegranates in that basket and peaches in the basket. I mean, peaches, that must have thought of Georgia, right? And then there's watermelon, and that's because there's all those antioxidants in there. They were doing that 1,000 years ago. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Next. Next. Okay. The longest lived people on Earth right now are a kind of a subculture in Costa Rica and Central America. They're called the Nicoyans. It's a little peninsula on the Pacific coast of Central America's Costa Rica. They live to be an average of 90. They have 100-year-old per 250 of their population, and they're still a third world country. According to anthropologists, they're a third world country. Place of poverty, tropical disease, tribal warfare still going on, and yet they live 15 years longer than the average American. They have 20 times the 100-year-olds we do, because they're still putting wood ashes in the gardens of their food where they grow their food, just like Jesus did. Okay, next, please. All this remained the same until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, and this fellow here, Thomas Edison, and his chief electrical technician, pulled the switch and turned on the first commercial electric generating plant. We know that because it was immortalized in newspapers and magazines with pictures and stories. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, and by 1909, in the Sears catalog, you could buy no less than a dozen kitchen appliances that were run by electricity, including an electric stove. How many wood ashes, how many plant minerals are left over when you cook with electricity, propane, natural gas, kerosene, and heating oil? 0! And nobody said, now you're responsible for supplementing with those minerals because you're not getting them as a byproduct of heating your home anymore. And any doctor or anybody, any government, anybody who tells you, oh, don't worry about vitamins and minerals, just eat well, you get everything you need, you want to flee from that person because they're cutting 25 years off your life. Next, please. Just by cutting your calories in half, you'll double your lifespan. We've known this since 1501, a calorie-restricted diet. We've known that since 1501 when there was a book written called The Art of Living Long. The author was Luigi Carnero. That's a long story, so I won't tell it today. Next. They've done this in every species of animal you can think of, including primates. That group on the right there, they were both fed, both groups actually got fed the same Ralston Purina laboratory monkey pellets. The group on your right got a full cup every day. The group on your left got the same pellets, just a half a cup every day. The ones on your right, after that 20-year study at the University of Wisconsin, the ones on the right, half of them died from diabetes, heart attacks, and cancer and obesity because they were getting a full cup. And the ones that got a half a cup are biologically half their age. Next, please. You ever heard of Nelson Mandela? Now, he's been using my minerals since 1991 when he got out of prison. Andy Young, right here from Atlanta, Georgia, sent him to him. I actually began to work with the Atlanta community in 1991 when Andy Young's son called me and said, my father is scheduled for a double knee replacement, and I don't want him to go through that surgery. I'm afraid. And he says, can you do anything for him? I know you work with athletes. So in 1991, through nutrition, I rebuilt Andy Young's knees, never had to have the surgery, and yet today, 20 years later, he's never had that surgery. Praise God. Next, please. How many ever heard, raise your hand, have you ever heard of celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis? They're all the same disease, just different degrees of severity. Right now, there's 30 to 50 out of every 100. You see down there in the bottom part of that story, the truthful is for every one diagnosed, there's probably 30 to 50 undiagnosed. Go to the next one. Go to the next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. Okay, stop there. That's a little 3-year-old baby, little Japanese baby, whose mother I know very well. She was breastfeeding him, and she had eczema and asthma. And doctors and the government and the public health service want you to think that asthma is caused by cockroach hairs. You've all heard that, right? Oh, it's caused by cockroach hairs. And she was breastfeeding this baby, and he got asthma at 3 days of age, and he got all this dermatitis and eczema over his whole body. And so we got her on a gluten-free diet, got rid of all the grains out of her diet, got rid of all the grains out of her diet, and put her on all 90 essential nutrients. And in 3 days' time, her asthma got better, her dermatitis got better. In 2 weeks' time, it was gone. Let's see the next one. That's him 2 weeks later, completely free of asthma and completely free of eczema and dermatitis in just 2 weeks by treating the mother's nutritional problems. Now, here's the sad part about this. What the pediatrician was doing for this baby was giving him cortisone cream for the mama to smear on his skin so he wouldn't be itching and scratching, and put his hands in little mittens so he wouldn't scratch himself. Now, putting mittens on, is that going to solve a nutritional deficiency? I don't think so. So you have to ask second opinions, don't you? I mean, that was really way out there. Okay, next. Oh, there he is at 2 years old. Now, as long as he stays away from gluten, doesn't eat any grains, he can eat rice and millet, but not wheat, barley, rye oats. As long as he stayed away from wheat, barley, rye oats and supplemented with a Mighty 90, and he's getting his own Mighty 90 at his age there, because he's not breastfeeding anymore, he'll never have those diseases, and it will add 25 years to his life. But if he ever starts eating whole grains again because some nutritionist or some health person tells him to, or a sister who maybe has good intentions, oh, you need to eat some whole grains. Bam, he's gone. Okay, next. See, you don't have to suffer through that for 20 years. In 3 days to 10 days, it's gone just by a gluten-free diet and taking the Mighty 90. Next. That must be Forrest Gump on the bottom. Okay, next. Next. Okay, that's what psoriasis looks like, and that'll go away in just a couple of weeks. I don't care if you've had it for 40 years. It'll go away in a couple of weeks on a gluten-free diet with a Mighty 90. Next. Next. This gal here had been like that for 23 years, and I was down in Palm Springs, California, and her husband was one of our meetings, and she wouldn't come out into the public because she just, you know, was always scratching, and no matter what drug for 23 years she was like that on the front and the back. And after 2 days, it got 50% better, and in a week it was gone after 23 years. Now, that's a lot of suffering unnecessarily because they didn't get a second opinion. Okay, next, please. There's an athlete, and one in front. Now, she doesn't look too healthy to me, but she was heralded as a wonderful athlete, and then she died at 35, and she says, guts just couldn't carry her on. Well, she had anorexia, which is caused by And bulimia would be the same thing as caused by, eating disorders are caused by celiac disease. You hear people say, I just eat, I feel bad. When I fast, I feel good. When people say, I fast and I feel good, that means they can't eat the stuff they were eating. When they don't eat it, they feel better, okay? So that's already done the diagnosis. Next. You ever hear that guy? Michael Jackson had celiac disease. You ever hear that story where he was bleaching himself so he'd look white? He was a very dark little black kid when he was singing, and as he got older, he got lighter and lighter and lighter. The last 30 years of his life, those are wigs he was wearing. He had snow white hair. He had lupus, he had arthritis. Why do you think he wore that little jeweled glove that was to hide the braces for his carpal tunnel syndrome? And he had a nutritionist who followed him everywhere and said, Michael, you need to eat more whole grains. And then he had to be put in hyperbaric oxygen chambers every day he was home because he couldn't live without that hyperbaric oxygen. Michael, you need more whole grains. Get healthy. And then he had to have injectable painkillers because he couldn't absorb the oral ones. And so whatever Dr. Murray gets for giving him something, overdosing him, the nutritionist should also get the same penalty. It's kind of like a driver for the bank robbers. Somebody gets killed in the bank robbery, they always charge the driver with the murder too, don't they? Next, please. And when you have celiac disease, you cannot absorb these 60 minerals, and so you're going to get 900 diseases, and you will be treated by 17 to 25 specialists. Not a single one of them will say get off of gluten and take the Mighty 90. We're beginning to get a little picture here. Okay? Now once you know this, it's just like knowing the Bible. Once you know about your spirit and your physical body, once you know that, nobody can tell you anything that's going to change your mind. Anytime you have a question, you go into the Bible. I live on the road 300 days out of every year. I sleep in hotels almost every night. And my best friend is that Gideon's Bible in that little nightstand next to the bed. And I trust that book more than any other book. Next. Let's see, I can't read that one. Oh, the metabolic syndrome. Okay, let's go to the metabolic syndrome. Thank you. The metabolic syndrome. This is high blood pressure, elevated blood cholesterol and triglycerides, and you're looking at insulin resistance, kind of a pre-diabetes, and then there's abdominal obesity. Okay? Now, when you have that, you're going to have a stroke, you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to have diabetes. Back in the old days, 25 years ago, they called that Syndrome X. Today they call it the metabolic syndrome. Okay, next. And when you look like that, you're in deep trouble. Isn't that funny? A hazardous waste? I thought that was kind of cute. Okay, next. This is just some of the things that when you look at the metabolic syndrome, all the diseases that you get associated with that metabolic syndrome, and you're going to go to all these specialists. You're going to wind up on 27 to 50 prescription drugs, and all you have to do is get on a gluten-free diet and supplement with the Mighty 90, and they all go away in a couple of weeks. I don't know. I have to ask my doctor. Remember, why don't you ask Jesus? Remember, Jesus was putting those plant minerals, those wood ashes in the gardens when he was only 2 years old. Next. You can read that next. That's the part of your body that's damaged by celiac disease and the metabolic syndrome. Okay, next. A lot of times when the doctor takes your gallbladder out, you have gallbladder symptoms, and you still have, how many of you have heard of somebody who's had their gallbladder removed and they still have their belly pain? That happens all the time. So the doctor says, well, I don't know what else to do. Let's just take the gallbladder out. Well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. Okay, next. Next, please. Okay. Let's see, I've got 10 minutes, so I'm going to start with, I'll finish with this one. This is high blood pressure. How many of you have heard of high blood pressure? Okay, everybody knows that it's genetic, right? Particularly in the black community, because it occurs at a 40% higher rate in the black community than it does in the white community. But it's not true. It's totally a simple nutritional deficiency disease. It just occurs more frequently in the black population, not because of genetics, but because of diet culture. Okay? It's a totally simple nutritional deficiency disease. Let's go to the next one. let's see, this one came out in 2008, I believe, and it said that it's more difficult to treat high blood pressure with the drugs now. You need different drugs. We need new drugs. The old ones aren't working. Why is that? Because celiac disease, you can't absorb drugs orally, just like Michael Jackson couldn't absorb painkillers orally, because people are trying to eat more whole grains. Next, please. Salt is thought to be caused by, or a cause of high blood pressure. Salt is thought to be the cause of high blood pressure, at least related to high blood pressure, right? Salt has nothing to do with high blood pressure. What's the first thing that a good farmer puts out for his livestock? A salt block. There's nobody out in the pasture telling a cow she's limited to 1 lick a day, is there? I refuse to believe that my patients are dumber than a cow, right? Okay, next. Next. Okay, I love this. We'll end with this one here. That'll be about right. And then we'll ask for God's blessing for the right direction, right? This was a great study in Scientific American. This is February 1999 when it came out. And what they did was send a team of researchers, DNA researchers and genetics researchers, to the forest of Nigeria to look for one black guy that had normal genes for blood pressure. What they were going to do is take his genes and genetically engineer them, make a vaccine, and come back to America and inject every black guy with this vaccination. That was their goal. That was the spoken goal. And so what they did was they get out there and they go out in the forest in Nigeria, as they were instructed to do, and they get out there, and only 7% of the people out there had high blood pressure. 93% were normal. They were saying, we got to check this book. That can't be right. That's not what we were told. And so they come back to Chicago and they do a lot of DNA testing, and they find a lot of people whose ancestors had originated in Nigeria from the old slave days, where they were taking the slaves from the west coast of Africa to Europe and to North America and so on. And they found thousands of them who had that background. And so they started taking their blood pressure, and 33% of the people in Chicago that fit that genetic profile actually had high blood pressure. So you know immediately, without any more testing, it's not genetic, because your position on Earth doesn't affect how a genetic disease manifests itself, right? And so why would it be 7% high blood pressure in Nigeria and 33% in Chicago? Well, that's because the people in Nigeria are a third world country. They're still using wood for fuel and putting wood ashes in their garden. They're getting all those minerals. And the guys in Chicago are living on fried chicken, fried fish, and using calcium channel blockers. Are we getting a picture? So who's better off there when it comes to health and high blood pressure? Those dudes living out in the woods in Nigeria are better off, okay, instead of getting all this medicine and medical advice, is the point that I'm trying to make here. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Oh, no, stop there. Stop there. That's good. This is actually from 2005, 6 years later, after that study came out, 2005. It was published in the British Medical Journal. For 6 years, the geneticist at Harvard, the geneticist at Oxford Medical School, gleaned through all that data that they had collected in Nigeria. And after 6 years of research, they said, high blood pressure in blacks, not genetic. High blood pressure in whites, not genetic. High blood pressure in human beings, not genetic. High blood pressure in dogs, not genetic. High blood pressure is not genetic. It's a simple mineral deficiency disease. Now, that's why I love Pastor Dollar and Pastor Taffy, because they practice what we're talking about here. I know Pastor Dollar, he just guzzles supplements. That's how he can do all these things he does. I mean, he's superhuman, right? He's got the blessing. Okay, next. Now, one of the things you ladies will love to hear is there's a new category of vitamins out. It's called dark chocolate. Now, that's gospel. That's gospel truth. Even Harvard Medical School, and this was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, I think it was August 27, 2003. And they found these substances, these organic substances in dark chocolate, not milk chocolate, right? Not milk chocolate. But these substances they found in dark chocolate called polyphenols and flavonols and PEAs, phenylethylamines. They actually will reduce blood pressure. Now, they won't cure the mineral deficiency, but it's kind of like a safe prescription, right? You eat dark chocolate and high blood pressure goes away. I mean, that's good, isn't it? To be able to eat chocolate which we always thought of as being sinful. Well, milk chocolate is sinful because you just get fat when you eat milk chocolate. But when you eat dark chocolate, you will lose weight, and your blood pressure goes down. Now, that is so exciting. That is so exciting when you think about it. Plus, it has so many antioxidants that the dark chocolate will also protect you from cancer, protect you from coronary artery disease, cataracts, macular degeneration, Alzheimer's disease. And if you fellas want to get on the good side of the ladies for Valentine's Day, for birthdays, Christmas, right? You want to be stuffing dark chocolate everywhere. And so what I want to do is end today with thanking again Pastor Dollar and Pastor Taffy, and thanking you for your blessed company. And tomorrow night we're going to cover about 6 other major diseases as we have here tonight with high blood pressure. You now have the basics. You know more about nutrition than all the medical doctors in the world. So I applaud you for being here. I really applaud you for taking the time to come and learn this so we can take care of our physical body. Give yourself a hand. Take care of our physical body as well as our spirit. God bless you all. God bless you all. See you tomorrow, and bring somebody with you. God bless you.
Now, I need to let you know something now. He's 74 years young.
No, 71.
71 years young. And I think it was my baby who was having asthma, and we applied those things. She don't have it anymore.
Hallelujah.
Eczema, she don't have that anymore. And you know, it was an amazing thing that when we look at the scriptures in Proverbs 18:21, it says, death and life is in the power of the tongue. But it's also in the power of the taste, isn't it?
That's right. Well, that's part of the tongue.
Yeah, it's part of the tongue. Now, there's this weird thing going on with high cholesterol.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow.
You going to talk about that tomorrow?
Yeah. You want to say something now?
Yeah. Because you know, they put out all this weird stuff about cholesterol, and they tell you what you can't eat and all that other kind of stuff. Give them a little taste of that, and then
Okay. Well, here's the short version you're going to hear tomorrow, just big tomorrow. There's not a single disease caused by elevated blood cholesterol and triglycerides. Does not cause stroke, does not cause heart disease, and the medical system has known this for 50 years. We're going to tell you what actually causes coronary artery disease, heart attacks, and stroke tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Joel Wallach. Amen. Thank you, sir.
Let me get myself unmuted here. What do you all think? So I know we've got cameras up. Has anybody seen that before? Dr. Wallach, that was 12 years ago.
That's right. 2010.
Yeah. So I absolutely love that presentation. And for those of you who want to see the second half, drjwallach.com actually has the whole presentation in DVD form. You can watch it on the big screen in the comfort of your own home, called Health Conference, featuring Dr. Joel Wallach. And you can even do just a search for the word Creflo, Creflo, in the search at DRJ Wallach, and be able to get that DVD set. So Dr. Wallach, we are a little bit after 9 o'clock. Do you want to take a break, or we've got a hand up?
Actually, you can go ahead and start doing some things. Let me take a quick break. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so we are going to take a quick little break. So everybody, sit tight, get up and don't sit tight. Get up and stretch. Get up and stretch. Make sure that you have your hydration. Put some minerals in there. We will be right back with Ask Doc Live. And just as a reminder, if somebody invited you to watch this presentation, get back with them and let them know how much you appreciate them and the information that they shared with you. Ask Doc Live is sponsored by AskDocLive.com. This is a website that's available for people to get information, to get that good foods, bad foods list. But if you were shared this information by somebody specific, you want to get back with them in order to get any of the products that Dr. Wallach is going to be talking about later in today's program or any of our programs, because that person is going to have their own special way of ordering. So we encourage you to get back with the person that shared this program with you. And we will be right back on Ask Doc Live.
Okay, ready.
All right, let's do this, Dr. Wallach. Let's go ahead and get your camera started again. And for all of you who are with us today, thank you so much for joining us, for taking time out of your busy schedules to get information that empowers you to take your health into your own hands using natural methods that the good Lord put on this earth for us. Now, in the beginning, I started to list that whole FDA disclaimer, and I kind of botched it. So for, to keep us legal and not off YouTube, the contents of this program is to provide educational information only on the importance of nutrition and supplementation. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The products discussed are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. And the content on this Zoom, again, is for informational purposes only. If you are pregnant, nursing, or taking medication, please consult your healthcare professional before starting any supplement program. But Dr. Wallach, I love the fact that we use food as nutrition, but it's not depleted and void. We're using stuff that is, and so you think of like cereal, okay?
Grain.
It's fortified with this and that. I mean, we've got all 90 essential nutrients. And if you're in the brain and heart pack, 212.
Well, let me ask you a question. Would you like to get your supplemental copper on the surface of a copper coated bullet?
Not a copper coated bullet or a copper penny. No, no. I just think, well, yeah, no. The copper penny is too dirty, and the copper bullet, that's precious metal. So no, let's take it another way. In a plant-derived form that we can actually absorb and utilize within our body. And that's how the longevity products are, Dr. Wallach, aren't they?
Yes.
They're in a
Extract from
form.
plants, the ancient plant deposits underneath the floor of the oceans millions of years ago.
And then they're synergized with some herbs and that allow the body to have even better absorption.
That is correct.
So that's why the sicker you are, the faster or better results that you get in many, many cases. You cannot guarantee that you'll be cured. But I'll tell you what, Dr. Wallach, if I had not found your program, I would not be able to run around and garden and go up and down stairs and carry 50-pound bags of garden soil and not hurt the next day. So I am very appreciative of all that you have done in putting the research into this. And I know that we have a hand up with a question. So, Rad and Blanca, go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you've got camera, that would be fabulous too. We'd love to include you in
Lovely.
here. All right, welcome to Ask Doc Live.
Good morning, Dr. Wallach. I hope you remember me. For
Good morning.
about 6 or 1 year ago, I spoke to you and you mistaken me with Russian. That's where my strong accent coming from. And I've got a neighbor of mine. Her name's Blanca. She's 40 years old. Her weight is about 13 stones and her height is 5.7. She has been diagnosed about a week or two ago with Crohn disease and ended up after holiday for 3 weeks straight in the hospital. And she's got respiratory problems quite heavily for a while. And we wanna sort it out. So what's your
Okay.
and her CRP is 276 instead, say up to 10.
What's CRP?
She's now okay. She's stabilized, but she's on steroids now, and
Mhm.
she's got basically side effect from steroids.
Okay, so she has chronic respiratory stuff, right?
Yes, and Crohn disease
Crohn's
has
disease.
been
Okay.
diagnosed.
Okay. Well, she's got a gluten problem. Okay, she got a
Yeah.
gluten problem. When you have, let's see here, lupus, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, celiac disease, diverticulitis, appendicitis, metabolic syndrome, which we talked about. Okay, Alzheimer's disease. Let's see here, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, diabetes type 1, MS, multiple sclerosis, Guillain-Barré syndrome, Graves' disease, which is a thyroid issue. These are all caused by nutritional deficiencies, usually secondary to consumption of grains, gluten, wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Now, they can be in the form of beer, because most beer, is made from wheat. Okay. If you want to drink beer, drink rice beer. You're from Australia, New Zealand, Asian countries, that kind of stuff. You can get them in any liquor store. Eat like an Asian, rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables and stuff. Stay away from the wheat, barley, rye, and oats. You cannot have oatmeal one breakfast a year, let alone every morning. Okay, so these are the sort of things she's gonna have to get rid of. No fried foods, nothing fried. No processed meats. Okay, no bologna, salami, pastrami, pepperoni, jerky, corned beef, spam, no ham, no bacon, all that's got to go. No fried foods, no sugar, absolutely no gluten. Even the oats got to go because there are no such things as gluten-free oats. Then we want her to be able to absorb the nutrients. That's why she's got to get rid of all this bad stuff. Okay. Just like Pastor Creflo Dollar's daughter, she had respiratory stuff and she had skin stuff and respiratory stuff. And because she was eating gluten. So we got her off of gluten and got her on the 90 in just weeks. She's perfectly normal. Same way, okay, with your friend. Okay. And so they've got to get rid of all the bad stuff. And then per 100 pounds of body weight, using American numbers, 100 pounds of body weight, one healthy brain and heart pack per month. If she weighs 150 pounds, then she needs 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. She also needs the MSM, 2 bottles a month, 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner time. They will support healthy maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, including the skin, the walls of the intestine, all that kind of stuff. And then arteries and veins and so on. Then she needs the collagen peptides, a scoop of that in her morning drink, scoop of that in her evening drink, same thing, plus the immune system. The collagen peptides will support remodeling, rebuilding the bone marrow, which is your immune system, to make white blood cells and antibodies and platelets and red blood cells and so forth. And then, let's see here. I also want her to have our Ocean's Gold and our Z Radical. Ocean's Gold, okay, is made from seaweed, 8 or 9 different seaweeds and algae and planktons and stuff like that from the ocean. Okay, and that helps all the tissues, including the thyroid. And then she also should have our Z Radical, which is a liquid. It's from the other ocean, 8 or 9 different seaweeds and plankton and all that kind of stuff. And if she weighs 150 pounds, she can have a half an ounce at breakfast, half an ounce at dinner. So 1 quart of Z Radical liquid will do very nicely. But this is a forever thing. She's got to stay away from all the bad foods forever. And she's got to take all these good nutrients forever because you can't get them on a regular basis from your food. Okay?
I understand that. And is it possible for her to come back to normal life and reverse the disease or stabilize
absolutely.
to the
Absolutely.
degree to get rid of this corticoids and this kind of stuff?
Okay, it's she can expect to come back to normal, but she has to stay on this stuff forever. If she gets off this stuff and goes back to her old ways, within 3 months, it'll come back.
I see, but as long as she'll
As
gonna
long as she
stick with
stays on the program,
program, she should be all right and doesn't have
she'll
to.
add 25 to 50 healthful years to her life if she does the program and stays away from the bad foods.
Mhm.
Okay?
No, the is to get from the prescribed medication. That's my question.
Okay, what you do, let's say she has high blood pressure. You don't cold turkey off the high blood pressure medication, but as the blood pressure begins to come down, if she has high blood pressure, she needs to throw in the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets, take 3 of those twice a day, Ultimate Daily Classic tablets. Don't cold turkey off the medication, but as the blood pressure comes down, she can slowly reduce the medication based on the numbers. And the same way with diabetes. Let's say she also has diabetes and she's on medication. You don't want to cold turkey off the medication, but you want to give her sweeties, 3 of those twice a day. And as the blood sugar begins to come down, she can slowly reduce the medication based on the numbers. How long is she going to stay on the sweeties? Forever. How long is she going to stay on the Ultimate Daily Classic tablets? Forever. How long is she going to stay on the 90? Forever. How long is she going to stay away from the bad foods? Forever. If she does that really, really, really well, then she will add 25 to 50 healthful years to her life. I mean, it's definitely worth babies are cute.
Thank you very much.
Worth doing all these things. Okay. And again, it's because we switched from wood and coal as fuel in 1882, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday, September 4th, 1882, on Pearl Street, New York City, when Thomas Edison, Jonathan Lieb, actually stopped doing all the right stuff. Okay. So you got to do the right stuff. It all goes away. Stay on the right stuff. It never comes back.
Perfect.
Okay. Das Vidania.
Oh, yeah. That's Vidania, Dr. Wallach. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you very
advice, and
much.
I'll go through the footage.
Yeah,
Couple
call us
times.
every regular, let us know how things are going. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Blanca. And that little one sitting on your lap is worth making changes for. She is absolutely beautiful.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
You can even speak English.
My name is Tamara.
My name is Tamara.
Oh,
Beautiful, Tamara. So
Thank you.
now, Rad, I have a quick question, and this is putting you on the spot.
Sure.
Will you share a quick little testimonial?
Yeah, I can do testimonial. I've done it or I come on the program more than 6 months ago, and basically I couldn't believe what happened to me and how quickly I recover and became to be a full human being. And I share my experience with my parents, and now is it for last 2 or 3 months when my own parents are on the program, and only scared things in their life is they never wanna run out of the 90 essentials, and that's pretty much says all the story. I've done it for my father. I ordered now today, literally today, I confirm the shipment from Longevity to get it shipped to Czech Republic, because no longer I am in London for 1 month. So I get it shipped down here, and I just don't wanna run out of the 90 essentials because the life's gonna be miserable without it. So that's not a brainer for me. 90 essentials is the way to go. Thank you
I
very much.
love it. I love it. And folks, it doesn't matter where you are, as far as where you live in this world, there are always solutions on how we can get the 90 essential nutrients to you. So thank you so much for sharing that, Rad, and I hope you're
Thank you,
enjoying
and I
your
come back to
vacation.
you via WhatsApp just to clarify what has been said to Blanca, just to make sure I understand it all. And but we'll do it after the program in WhatsApp.
Yep,
Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Blanca, and God bless you, and Rad.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, Dr. Wallach, you are changing lives. Well, supplements that because of you exist are changing lives. And I have to thank you. Rad thanks you. He messages me and all the great things that are going on in his
He
life
didn't
that
say
he
what his
never thought
problem was. He never said what his problem was.
So I don't know if he's been on the program before, and
Okay, well, we'll
if I
we'll
may
do that
share,
next time.
Rad, may I share just a little bit? Rad, would you share what how you originally were? Some of the things that you
Basically, I had zero libido. I was constantly tired, lifeless. I was sleeping in between the shifts straight. I had no interest in anything, and I was just going from one day to other without any aim or any stuff I wanna do. And you just told me that to stick with you for about 3 months, and I will recover, and I recovered pretty quickly and start function normally and begin to be aware of myself and what technically are my potentials, and no longer I'm tired. I've got energy. I can work, run, jogging, go to the gym, and I've got still spare time to go meet my friends or something, and I have zero interest in anything. I was going just to the work because I was asked to, otherwise I wouldn't do anything.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing your story. God loves you, and we appreciate you sharing your story with everybody. Bye-bye.
No problem. Thank you very much.
thank you, Rad. All
See you, bye.
right.
Great story.
So that's, I mean, go from not enjoying life and just living each day, day by day, to now loving life, going to the gym, going out with friends, enjoying life. I mean, and that's been in less than 6 months, Doc.
Wow.
So
And now he
I-
can try that baby.
she's a cutie. I don't know if she's his, but she is a super
Well, she may
cute
be the
one, isn't she?
grandbaby or the niece or, whatever, but I said.
So yeah,
it
Blanc
said
is a very
baby.
good friend of his, and the baby is hers. So here we have another hand, Dr. Wallach, and Dawn. Go ahead and unmute yourself. You are on live with Dr. Wallach.
Thank you so much. Question for you, Doc. 2 questions. I have a 12-year-old niece who is about 110 pounds, 5'7", but extremely depressed and extremely depressed, almost just giving up on everything. And 18. She's 18 years old, not 12. My sister is saying she's 18, not 12.
Okay.
And just not wanting to eat or anything at this time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we have what we call Rebound. It's our sports drink with 100 nutrients in it. Most sports drinks are just sugar and caffeine. Our sports drink has 75 minerals in it and 25 vitamins, amino acids. If you use the canister or the sticks, there's no carbonation in it. She could have 2 or 3 of those doses a day. Also, if she uses the cans, you got to pop the tops on the cans, put them in the refrigerator at night, let the carbonation get out by morning, so the carbonation isn't there in the morning. And she could have, again, 2 or 3 of those during the day. That'll give her energy and give her nutrients in a very pleasant way. But she's got to give up all the bad foods. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no butter, rhinos, no sugar. Got to live like an Asian, live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables and fruit, berries, and grapes and that kind of stuff. And then I also wanted to have, let's see here, 1 healthy brain and heart pack per 100 pounds of body weight. She needs to have 1 bottle a month per 100 pounds of body weight of the MSM. So she could take 3 of those twice a day. That's going to deal with cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, disc between the vertebrae, bone mixture, bone self. She could have osteoporosis of the skull. It's not an age thing. It's a nutritional deficiency thing. Could be squeezing the spinal cord, so she's not having much fun south of her skull. having back problems and getting up 10 times a night to urinate and all that kind of stuff. So we need to know some of that information. And then also, we want her to have the collagen peptides for her immune system. Take a scoop of that in her morning drink. It could be, again, the rebound or sports drink, and a scoop of that in her evening drink. And then also, I want her to have the synaptive. Our synaptive is 3 sources of natural nutrients for the brain. I have more compliments about that synaptive than any other product in the last 2 years. Okay, I want to have 3 of those twice a day, regardless of her weight. 3 of those twice a day. Then I wanted her to take also 3 of our Memory FX capsules at breakfast and dinner time. That'll be 2 bottles a month. And lastly, our de-stress capsule, capital D, like David dash stress. Take 3 of those twice a day. That also works for the brain. But I also want her to have, if she weighs more than 100 pounds, which I probably 18 years old, she probably does, I want her to have 2 to 3 eggs twice a day. 25% of your brain weight is cholesterol. 25% of your spinal cord weight is cholesterol. When you get demyelination, the white matter of your brain's going away because it's made out of cholesterol. You must eat those eggs. Don't give up eggs. Don't take statin drugs. And if she's cycling, if she's not cycling, she can take our Xerafem. Take 3 of those twice a day. And that will give her ovaries the nutrients it needs to make estrogen and help her cycle. And so all this stuff will get her going. And we'd like to hear from you, like every week, every 10 days, every 2 weeks. Let us know how she's doing, because she's going to have a miracle story.
Will do, Doc. Thank you. Can I ask one more question, Miss Rebecca?
Yes.
I have a customer, and he's on the Health and Body Joint Pack from what Doc recommended. Now, Doc, the other day, Glucogel was on back order, so we ordered the Pro Joint FX. Now, is that how much? What would be the dosage on the Pro Joint, and is it giving the same?
Well, it's similar, okay, but it also needs the collagen peptides. Okay,
He's
the
on that.
glucogel is collagen from cattle. Okay, it was an original healthy bone and joint pack. But then we have the collagen peptides, which is collagen from cattle, sheep, fish, and poultry. Okay, so either one of those works. I take them both.
Yeah. The Pro Joint FX, he got that bottle. How much? What's the dosage on that?
Well, whatever the recommended dosage is, take, what does he weigh, 100 and what?
150.
150, yeah, okay, we'll take, since he has a clinical problem, I'd have him take 3
Yeah.
doses a day until the clinical problem gets better, then drop it down to 2 doses a day just for maintenance.
Okay, thank you, Doc. And one more, Doc, on the eggs. He was wondering if too many eggs could cause, because he's having a lot of issue with inflammation, if too many eggs, which he's doing the 3 eggs per day, if that could cause inflammation.
Only if they're fried.
Mm-hmm.
If they're soft boiled with soft yolks, no. If they're soft poached with soft yolks, no. I have mine soft scrambled in butter, okay? And eggs are good food, okay? Eggs are good food. I want you to think about it. When a hen lays a fertile egg, the chick in that egg sits on top of the yolk. If you crack that egg open, on top of that yolk will be this little white 1 millimeter diameter disc. That's the chick. If you incubate that egg for 26 days, the little chick will peck its way out of there. And the chick has, let's see here, healthy muscles and bones, healthy digestive tract, healthy liver, healthy lungs, healthy heart, healthy brain, healthy skin, healthy glands, healthy brain, healthy eyes, healthy everything. Okay, it came from all the nutrition in that egg. The egg is one of the most fertile and one of the most complete nutritional foods in the world.
Thank you so much, Doc. God bless you. Thank you, Miss Rebecca.
You're very welcome. And Dr. Wallach, I've got a couple of questions that have come in through text message.
Okay.
And Hilda has a question. She has a client with an endometrial thickness of 21 centimeters, no other medical complaints other than
Millimeters.
I'm sorry,
Centimeters?
centimeters. She does have swelling in the legs, severe swelling. She's 5'4", 171 pounds. And she's wanting to know what she can do to, I thought she mentioned the weight or the age, but she does not. She wanted to know what she can do to have healthy endometrial thickness and tissue
Okay.
and
she's
reduce swelling.
Okay, needs to get rid of all the bad stuff. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat bran granules, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go. Got to live like an Asian, live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables and that kind of stuff. She can have fish, she can have poultry, she can have red meat, but nothing fried or burnt or anything like that, right? And then I want her to have 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, full dose of everything twice a day. I want her to have 2 bottles a month of the MSM, so I can take 3 times a day of the MSM. That's for cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, which is part of the uterus and all that kind of stuff, right? Muscles and tendons and ligaments and walls of arteries and veins. And then she also needs vitamin D3 so she can absorb everything, 3 of those twice a day. I don't care if she lives on an island, and getting all that sun in the island, but most people, most adults will sit in the shade. It's only the kids that take their shirts off and run around out in the sun. Okay, so she does need to take the vitamin D3. I also want her to have the 3 eggs twice a day, 3 eggs twice a day with soft yolks, not fried, not hard boiled, but soft yolks. And then I want her to have our Xerafem. I want her to have 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. That's going to give her ovaries the raw materials it wants to make proper amounts of estrogen. But you need the eggs to give the cholesterol also to the ovaries. So because estrogen is 95% by weight cholesterol, cannot be on statin drugs, cannot be avoiding cholesterol.
And I want to point out how you always start with the 90 essential nutrients. And in this case, in most cases, we're starting with the healthy brain and heart pack with the more than 90 essential nutrients,
15.
212, right? So, and that brain and heart pack includes the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Osteo FX, both of those being powder that you mix with water, the EFA Plus, the Ultimate EFA. So those are essential fatty acids that are coming from different sources. So you're getting a nice, well-rounded dose of essential fatty acids, which for those of you who don't know, omega-3, 6, and 9 each day, and Ultimate Selenium, which Ultimate Selenium is not just selenium, is it, Doc?
No, it has 5 cofactors in there.
And tell us what a cofactor is.
Well, cofactor is something that makes it work better. Okay. For instance, does your car work better if it gets oxygen? Yes. Does it work better if it gets oil? Yes. Does it work better if it has antifreeze in the radiator? Even in hot weather, the antifreeze is beneficial because it keeps the temperature in a reasonable range.
And it works better when you've got gas. And for me, the 90 essential nutrients, that's my gas.
There you go.
So, all right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Wallach. Let's go to a question that we have here in the chat from Jean. Jean has a family member, a female. She's 50 years old, 5'4", 135 pounds. And like Blanca, she has Crohn's disease, but she's also anemic, Dr. Wallach. What would be the best way to address both of those conditions together?
Well, they're related. She has Crohn's disease, and because she has Crohn's disease, she's got anemia. Anemia is caused by not getting enough nutrition to your bone marrow to make red blood cells. Okay. And so even if you're supplementing, if your intestines are damaged because you're eating gluten, okay, and that's what's going on here. So she needs to get rid of all the bad foods, no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no bran granules, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go. And you said 130 pounds, something like that?
135 at 5'4".
135 pounds. Okay. She needs to, because she has something potentially life-threatening, I'd have her start out with 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, full dose of everything twice a day. I'd have her take the MSM. She could take 1 bottle a month of MSM. She can take 3 twice a day. That's going to give her the nutrients to support and promote maintenance repair of cartilage, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, including the bone marrow where the red blood cells are made and the white blood cells are made, and the let's see, platelets are made, and also the antibodies are made. So you want to keep that bone marrow happy. And then collagen peptides, a scoop of that with her morning drink, a scoop with her evening drink, vitamin D3, 3 of those twice a day. Okay. And let's see here. I think her complaint primarily was the
So the
anemia.
Crohn's disease, and I know
Well,
many
the Crohn's
people,
disease, we're going to take care of that by getting rid of all the gluten.
right, and many people with Crohn's disease, they've had their gallbladders removed, Dr. Wallach. What
Oh,
would you
wait.
add for that?
Well, if they have their gallbladder removed, they need our ultimate enzymes, which we call the gallbladder in a bottle, because we put bile from cattle, bile in there. The good Lord put our gallbladder in to help us absorb the essential fatty acids, okay, from the intestines, to help us absorb the fat soluble vitamins, A, D, E, K, B12. All those fat soluble vitamins would not be absorbed if it were not for the bile coming out of the gallbladder. And so the gallbladder is very, very important, and doctors treat it glibly like, oh, well, it's just kind of like an extra hair on your head or something. If you don't have if you had your gallbladder removed, you're cutting your lifespan significantly.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that, but
Ultimate
hey,
enzymes.
when something's been done, I love the fact that we have a solution to help people continue on and continue on in a healthy way.
There you go.
So, Jean, I hope that is helpful for your family member. And Shantae has a question in regards to a 34-year-old female, 140 pounds, 5'4", who has a brain cancer tumor that has returned. She says during the biopsy, she was paralyzed on her left side from head to toe.
Okay, well, anytime you have cancer, you have a serious life-threatening disease. Some cancers tend not to go other places, but they can still kill you by, being devastating locally, and especially in the brain. Okay, so again, she's got to get rid of all the bad foods: no fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, no butter, rhinos, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Those are the things that got her in trouble. Okay, then I want her to have 140 pounds. I want her to have 1 healthy brain and heart pack per month. Half a dose. Well, no, I better have her take 2 healthy brain and heart packs per month. Take a full dose of everything twice a day. I'd also have her take the collagen peptides, scoop of that in her morning drink, scoop of that in her evening drink, because I want her to get her bone marrow working, so more antibodies and more white blood cells, ramp up her immune system. And until I know more information, I don't want to pour anything into the brain. I mean, we have all kinds of grain support stuff, okay, but until I know more information, I don't want to pour stuff in there, because the brain support stuff might drive that cancer to grow. Okay, so we need to know a little bit more information. What's the name of the cancer? Where is it located? How big was it when they removed it, or did they shrink it with radiation or chemicals? I mean, we need to know a little bit more information here.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Wallach. And Shantae has been busy talking to people because she's got a couple more questions here as well. And folks, if you're on live with us and you'd like to ask a question, you can put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. Find that raise hand option in the chat. We've got a few more minutes here. But Shantae's next question is in regards to a male, 58 years old, 80 pounds, 6 foot, with a severe hiatal hernia.
Well, if he's 6 foot tall and weighs 80 pounds,
180.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, 180 pounds, and he's got a hiatal hernia. Now, it may be a hernia, which means it's coming up from the stomach through the diaphragm up into the chest and putting pressure on the heart and the lungs and stuff like that. Or it could be another issue of the osteoporosis of the skull squeezing the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, okay, causing what's called gastroparesis, which gives you extreme pain where there would be a hiatal hernia, okay, and causing problems in the stomach. And doctors say, oh, you have an ulcer, and they'll put tubes down there and look around your stomach for an ulcer and want to take half your stomach out and all this kind of stuff. When really it's osteoporosis of the skull squeezing that 10th cranial nerve, causing that problem, pain, okay, in the stomach, okay. And there's a whole list of things. I can, oh, here we go. They're caused, and many of them have to do with the stomach. When that nerve gets squeezed, we're looking at reflux, bloating, diarrhea, gastroparesis. That's the one I think she might have, or he might have, whoever it is. Let's see here. Well, there's a whole bunch of other ones that don't relate to the stomach, but those are the ones. The gastroparesis, I think, is what's going on here, and they need to get a hold of the book and the CD, which you and I did. There you go. The CD that goes along with it is you want to get this information. The recipe for reversing this is in that book. Okay, so if you didn't get it all written down, it's in the book, and it's one of those things where there's 37 different diseases you can get when you have osteoporosis of the skull, squeezing the 12 pairs of cranial nerves, squeezing the spinal cord, and so on. And people say, oh, look at that. It says if you get up at night to urinate, you know, it's squeezing the nerve in your spinal cord, and your spinal cord is telling your urinate bladder to urinate. I get up 5 times a night to urinate. And my doctor said it was my prostate gland, but I'm a girl. I don't have a prostate gland. Okay. So these are all the things you're going to learn about in this book. It's all in your head, and the CD that goes along with it.
All right. Now, Dr. Wallach, the next question seems kind of strange, but I hear it more and more. A male, only 24 years old, 6'5", 200 pounds, with extremely low testosterone. Says so low that the doctors felt certain that he had a pineal gland tumor, and an MRI did not show that there was a tumor. So low testosterone, extremely low in a young man.
Okay. Well, the first thing he's got to do is get rid of all the bad foods so he can absorb nutrition. Okay. No fried foods, no processed meats, no oils, no glutens, no wheat, barley, rye, oats, no sugar, no carbonated drinks. Even the diet one's got to go. And then 2 healthy brain and heart packs a month, a full dose of everything twice a day. He needs 2 bottles a month of the MSM, so he can take 3 at breakfast, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner time. Okay. He needs 1 canister of the collagen peptides, so he can take a scoop of that with his morning drink, scoop of his evening drink. He needs 2 bottles a month of the let's see here. Let's have him take 2 bottles a month of what? Oh, of the Zeratest.
Zeratest?
Yeah, Zeratest. He can take Zeratest, have him take 3 of those twice a day. That's going to give the Sertoli cells in his testicle the raw materials it needs to make testosterone. Okay. And he may be saying indirectly he's got testosterone problems, an ED, erectile dysfunction, or something like that. Okay. But no hormones, that kind of stuff. But he does need eggs. 25% of our brain weight is cholesterol. 25% of our spinal cord weight is cholesterol. Does he have demyelinating things going on? Is he losing the white matter of his brain? Does he have MS? Does he have Guillain-Barré syndrome? You know, we need a little more information there. But eating those 3 eggs twice a day, taking that Zeratest, 3 of those twice a day, in addition to everything else we said. And if he doesn't have any cancer anywhere, he can take our, let's see here, our Synaptive. He could take 3 of those twice a day, 2 bottles a month. De-stress capsules, 3 of those twice a day is 2 bottles a month. And don't forget the Rebound or a sports drink with 100 nutrients in it. If he's going to drink the cans with the carbonation in it, he needs to pop the tops at night, put them in the refrigerator, and drink them in the morning after they've off-gassed all the carbonation during the evening at nighttime. Okay.
Okay, let's go to Yvonne, who has her hand up. And then I have a question coming in about dairy, which we don't mention a whole lot about, because so I would like to get your view on dairy. But first, let's go to Yvonne. Yvonne, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. She can't unmute somehow.
Yeah,
All
she
right.
can.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It kept saying that you wouldn't unmute me. Hey, good morning, Doc. Good to see you again.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
Got a great testimonial, and then want to share the continued story with this gal. So you and I talked back in April, had a gal who was hit by a truck 40 years ago, drop foot. We worked quite a bit with her using the hard tissue, 90 plus calcium. She is now walking without falling daily. She would fall daily. She's been doing that for 40 years. Between the therapies that I use and the nutrients, I know that there's a lot going on, and we've had great success. One of the things that has come up is she is becoming increasingly tired, and her estrogen levels have greatly decreased or dropped, and hoping that you can help me work through that.
Okay, well, extremely tired again. It could be reactive hypoglycemia. So you can, go to the pharmacy and get some test strips to see what her blood sugar is and her urine sugar is. See if she's got some reactive hypoglycemia. Does she fall asleep a half hour after eating? Yeah,
Yes,
she got reactive hypoglycemia. Okay.
Yeah, and on her online health survey, it was like a 32.
Yeah.
It was really quite high.
Yeah, she's got reactive hypoglycemia. She needs to get her sweeties, take 3 of those twice a day. Okay. If she's on medication for diabetes or anything like that, good. Don't get her on that. But she needs our sweeties, take 3 twice a day. And then she also, none of the bad foods. And then I would have her get the Xerafem, 3 of those twice a day. That's 2 bottles a month. Make sure she's eating 3 eggs twice a day so she can get the cholesterol out of the eggs, because just like testosterone, estrogen is 95% by weight cholesterol. She needs the eggs.
Yes. And so her husband is a coach for a company that does packaged foods. And we talked about oats in these bars and some of the food. Can you help her overcome? She wants to support her husband.
Well, she may have to have him move out unless he stops. He's got to take all his clothes off from the factory out in the yard and hose himself down before he comes in the house. He cannot bring any of the oats in the house. He cannot wash his clothes in the same washer and dryer she washes her clothes, because she'll get cross-contaminated. It's that sensitive. She and he both need to eat like an Asian, live on rice and sweet potatoes and vegetables and that kind of stuff. Okay, they can have our chocolate, okay, but they cannot have anything with wheat, brown, or rye oats in it.
Okay, and is that because of the gliadin in the oats?
No, it's gluten. Yeah, gliadin, okay, is the name of gluten in oats.
And it's an inflammatory.
Well, it kills your intestines. You go from looking like a shag rug because of all the villi in the intestines. Those villi go away and you now look like a plastic tube. You lose 98% of your absorptive surface in your intestine. People say, well, why do I have diabetes? I take my medication, my oral medication, metformin, okay, and I can't get my blood sugar to come down. Well, what do you eat for breakfast? Well, I've been eating oatmeal all my life. Well, that's why, because your intestines are dead and you can't absorb the metformin.
Fantastic. Thanks for your help.
You betcha.
All right. Thanks, Yvonne. Now, Dr. Wallach, the question that is presented, there are many doctors that say, stay away from dairy. Now, you promote dairy, and there's really good reason to promote dairy.
Yes.
Share with us a little bit on your slant and why dairy is okay.
Okay, well, you have to appreciate doctors say that because in their brains, they have been conditioned to say, stay away from cholesterol, stay away from eggs, stay away from dairy, stay away from red meat, fat, all that kind of stuff, because they believe falsely, it's a false belief, but they were taught that cholesterol is what clogs your arteries when you get plaque in your arteries, okay? That is 100%, 1,000%, 10 million% false. What causes plaque in your arteries is not cholesterol. It's fried foods, cooking oils, and salad dressings, and olive oil, and that kind of stuff. Okay? Oxidized oil, inflammatory stuff, that's what's causing the blocked arteries. And so they go through this misadventure of staying away from dairy because in their pea brains, they think that dairy is full of cholesterol. It's got some cholesterol in it, which is a good thing because 25% of your brain is cholesterol, 25% of your spinal cord is cholesterol, 95% of your testosterone is cholesterol, 95% of your estrogen is cholesterol. You want to eat dairy. Okay, you never heard of milkmaids complaining about it.
No.
Okay, and so when you look at all these countries, Switzerland, Denmark, all these places that are famous for cheeses and milk and dairy products and so on. Well, guess what? They don't have any of those problems. Okay, because dairy is a good food. What's the first food of every mammal, including human beings?
Mother's milk.
Milk, dairy. I don't care if it's mother's milk, cow's milk, goat's milk, sheep's milk, camel milk, llama milk. Okay. Milk is milk. It's designed to be the perfect food for the baby. And so anybody who tells you, you shouldn't be drinking milk needs to be put in jail.
There you got it, folks. So dairy. And Dr. Wallach, there are fat soluble vitamins in dairy that aren't found in other
Pepsi
products.
Cola.
I'm sorry?
Those fat soluble vitamins are not found in Pepsi Cola.
No, that's right. I did not hear that, Pepsi Cola. Nor are they found in many vegetables, including soy. So thank you so much for sharing that information. And if I could get my co-hosts up here with me, I am so
Wow.
thankful for them. We are already at the top of the hour and we're missing one.
Okay, and don't forget that people can get that a copy of this DVD set that I did with Pastor Creflo Dollar by contacting you at your number at Ask Doc Live.
We've got Ask Doc Live. Go to askdoclive.com. You can use the contact us there on the website and we'll get some questions answered for you. But most importantly, if somebody specific shared this program with you, get back with them. They more than likely have their own special way of ordering, and we want to make sure that you thank them for sharing this information with you. And if they are a longevity distributor, which myself, my co-hosts, we're all longevity distributors, and we do this because we have felt the difference of giving Doc 90 days. We earn our money and support our family through sharing information with you and you thanking us by acting on getting back with us to get the products that Dr. Wallach is mentioning. So get back with the person that shared this program with you. On behalf of myself, Rebecca Dukes, and my co-hosts, Ruth Ellen Sanchez, Heather Bowen, Dr. Judy Reynolds, and the great Jonty McCollier, our digital master, we thank you for joining us here on Ask Doc Live each and every Friday, and find our replays on AskDocLive.com. You will have all of our replays with Dr. Wallach on this program available to you that you can watch over and over and share with a friend. On behalf of all of us, did I forget anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wallach. We appreciate you. And
we appreciate your team. You guys get an A+ as usual.
I love my team. So everybody, if you have questions and they did not get answered in the chat, because I know there were a lot of questions that we didn't get answered, make sure that you get with the person that invited you to this program. If you are a longevity associate and you have these questions, Dr. Wallach has Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie radio program, where you can jump on and ask him questions 5 days a week. You do not have to wait till Friday. We love having you here. But go to ksco.com and you will find the information on how you can ask Dr. Wallach questions on the radio from 12 to 1 Pacific. I want to make sure that I say Pacific time each and every weekday. So everybody, bye for now.